Hey everyone, it's Reverend Bill, and it's just about 2:30 in the morning. Um, Reverend Bill has problems sleeping sometimes. So anyway, the hostages are free. We're going to get into that in a second, but I just thought of something I wanted to bring up, and it's not in my little cheat sheet there, but I want to talk about it anyway because it's just kind of a weird thing that I came across the other day. And if I thought about it, I would have put it on my sheet, but I didn't. But I just thought of it now. Um, there's something really bizarre going on in Quebec. I think it's in Montreal, but it's definitely in Quebec, I think. And it's three men. This is a weird one. You got to bear with me here because I spend a lot of time with AI trying to figure this one out. And I'll try to put it the best way I can. So it's three men, gay. Now nobody's married. It's kind of a civil union kind of deal where they're all committed to themselves as a throuple, I guess is the legal term for it. Um, so it's not a marriage, and it's got to be understood. It's not polygamy because polygamy is outlawed. It's quite clear from my research. This is not polygamy. If any of them were married, I don't think it would work. That would be breaking the law. Again, this I'm not vouching for this. I think it's crazy, but this is just the legalese here. Um, but what they're doing is they're three men that are sharing an abode. I don't know whether it's an apartment or a house, but whatever they are, they're living together and they're equally committed to each other three ways. And they have somehow, I'm not condoning this by any stretch of the imagination, but somehow they have fostered a little girl. And I get the impression that they've had her for a couple of years. So Canada is even more liberal than we are. So anyway, somehow they've managed to foster this little girl in this living arrangement. So there's three men. So it's 33 and the third all the way through, I guess, and none of them are married. So that's what the arrangement is, and it's a legal kind of union somehow. So what they're trying to do now is that they're trying to get an adoption going through where they can all legally be 33 and a third parent to her. And I don't believe there's going to be any more of a legal action as far as unifying their relationship, because again, they can't marry. So I think whatever union they have as far as a civil union, I think that's as far as they can take it. My understanding is, at least from my understanding of this crazy relationship, is that their civil union is probably as far as that can go. And they've already fostered this girl. So I think their next step is that they want to have a legal adoption where they all equally own a third of this child. And that's where they're pushing it. And I don't know where it's going to go. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they've gotten this far. So I guess my question is, why would Canada stop now? I mean, they've already gotten to this point, but that's what's going on now. And even more disturbing, I guess, is that, of what I understand, this is coming over to our country too, in some places. And according to AI, there's already 3 cities in the United States that have already been looking at this, and they're all in Massachusetts, and I think they are, my memory serves me correctly, Somerville, Cambridge, and Arlington. Don't hold my feet to the fire on that one, but I believe that's what I read, all in Massachusetts, where they're looking at the possibility of doing something like that. I'm not sure why they're going with that or what they hope to, solve with this thing. Personally, I think people are having a hard time keeping a marriage going nowadays. So I don't know why they would think 3 people can manage a relationship indefinitely. To me, that child's a hostage. That's what I would call it, because there's no way this is going to work. And all that child's going to do is being caught in between, and the child's going to become hostage to a nightmare of a relationship. That's how I see it anyway. So anyway, that was just something that caught my eye, and I just thought it was crazy. And one other thing on a note too, just by the, I'm so tired looking at newspapers and finding things that, I mean, does anyone really care about Meghan Markle and the fact that she went to a party and she wasn't really invited to it? I mean, it's like they're forcing a Meghan Markle story on us. And I don't know if she's even royalty, really. And if she is royalty, I don't really care if she's royalty or not. I never gave a damn about the royal family. And I don't think she is real because she got kicked out of the royal family anyway. So she's kind of, you know, an outcast of the royal family. So she's kind of like a failed actress who I don't know. And I don't really need to know anything about her. Really. I mean, can we just forget about her? I don't care. Wasting my time. Anyway, getting off that. Let's go back. Let's get on the sheets. Those are just kind of a couple of things I just thought I'd mention. So let's get going on this. What do we got here? Entire screen, but I'm tired of Meghan Markle. She just had a bowl of Fruit Loops. Great, love it. You know, really, let's move on. Okay, so here we go. The hostages are free. This is certainly worth the discussion. No one thought it could happen. Of course, you know, how is Biden going to do it when he can't even wake up? I mean, you know, but anyway, he said he was going to do this. This is just, again, Trump following through on things he said he was going to do. He said he was going to do it, and he did it. And, you know, I just wish he could have gotten more. And had he served that second term, whether it was, you know, we don't want to get into that. But the fact of the matter is, if he did get that second term, he probably would have gotten them out of there, or maybe there wouldn't have even been a hostage problem. Who knows? But the fact is, he said he was going to do it. He got in the office, and there it is. He got it done, and it was not easy. The problem I had is the only person that was liberal that came out at all to say anything with Obama, who obviously left him off, the guy that orchestrated the whole thing, the guy that said he was going to do it, the guy that worked towards doing it, the guy that got it done, wasn't even worth mentioning when Obama talked, which is childish. You know, I mentioned it before that during Charlie Kirk's funeral, if Obama really cared about this country, he should have showed up at the funeral. He doesn't have to say that he agrees with the politics. He doesn't have to say anything. All he had to say was, you know, we're still a united country. And I think I would have respected Obama a little bit had he at least said, this is still an American that died in a tragic way. And no matter what our beliefs or politics, the fact is we're still a country and we're still united. And had he got there and shook Trump's hand and shown that there was still a country and was still united, I would have rethought my thought on Obama. But as it was, no, he went off, I think, cruising in Italy. So yeah, I looked down on him even more so for that. And then to come out and be so petty as to congratulate everybody and his brother, you know, even the elevator man, and not to even mention Trump, who did basically all the heavy lifting here, childish, which is what I would expect from Obama. Anyway, and his Obamacare is at a point right now they can't afford it anymore, and the Democrats want to give it to illegal aliens on top of the fact they can't even afford it for the citizens. You know, I just wish they'd scrap it. It never worked. It ruined my healthcare program I was on when it came out. It's a nightmare. So anyway, so I want to know where all these liberals are, the Mark Ruffalos and, you know, Alyssa Milano's and Robert De Niro, all those guys crying, oh, ceasefire, taking up our times during the Oscars and the Emmys and everything, going up, spouting off all ceasefire, you know, it's a, you know, genocide, they're going to try to kill everyone. Well, now they got the ceasefire. Where are they? I thought maybe I'm just not checking out the right newspapers or the magazines. So I sat down with AI and I asked it to look for me. So this is what happened. I went to it and I talked to it, and I at the end I just said, "So to be clear, this is me writing to ChatGPT. So to be clear, after all those pleas to end the war, now that it's over, no one has anything to say." And this is what again, this is after I talked to it about 5 minutes, asking about different celebrities. I asked it to just sum up everything we talked about and said, that's essentially correct. At least so far, there's been no visible wave of reaction or public praise from the liberal activists or celebrities that have been the most vocal about calling for a ceasefire. Here's the situation as it currently stands. Many of those figures, Ruffalo, Milano, Thunberg, who's got, I guess, I didn't know this. She's got a lot of I don't know, I don't want to be, politically incorrect. She's got a lot of mental issues from what I say. I mean, she might be a couple of French fries short of a Happy Meal. They were spoken out when the war was going on, posting frequently, signing petitions, attending rallies. Now that the ceasefire has been declared and hostage released, there's been basically very little public commentary. Because they've got nothing good to say about Trump, so they don't really care. They don't really care at all about the hostages. They just wanted to get their face in the camera, and now there's nothing to complain about. They've gone back in the holes in the wall. They nothing. No. There's no. Are they going to go in and hug these hostages and welcome them back home, or maybe set up a fund for them to get them acclimated back to society? No. No, they're sitting in the bathtubs with champagne glasses, talking about who knows, maybe what their next chance to get their face in the camera is. They don't really care about this stuff, and I knew it when they were crying and moaning and groaning. They don't care. There's no posts or statements at all congratulating Trump or even acknowledging the development. Most coverage is mainstream, is just focusing on the details of the agreement and the situation on the ground. The people who have been most vocal about ending the conflict are completely silent. This is right out of AI, ChatGPT, and it checked all the posts and everything. This is not me. I'm a lot lazy. I'm a lot lazier than AI. I didn't do this. Oh, before I forget, I did tell you. I'm glad I remembered this. Last time I did a podcast, I mentioned about the trans statement about gun control. And I said I was going to go back through Charlie Kirk's transcripts, because I said that you can't really use gun violence or shootings, deaths with trans, because they keep on throwing that into mafia shootings and gangland shootings and cartel shootings, which is not right, because trans shooting shouldn't be thrown in with premeditated, because those are senseless shootings, like going into your workplace or a mall or a church or schools. You really can't tie those in with gangland, because those are actually anything but those are not crazy. Those are premeditated. They hire people to actually go and kill people for drugs and stuff. You really couldn't compare those with random crazy trans shooting. And I thought that Charlie Kirk was getting to something, because just before he was shot, somebody said, do you know something about the statistics of trans shootings? And he said, oh, we're talking gangland shootings. And then he got shot. I thought that maybe he had, and I still do, filtered out. He found a way of filtering out so he can get accurate numbers. And I said to you, I was going to go back and thinking that maybe Charlie Kirk had talked about that previously, because I think he had figured that out. And I don't know for the life of me how to filter that out effectively, because when you're dealing with random violence, you got to make sure that you know what the motives are. I think I mentioned an example of that guy that killed another guy for opening the door for him. He stabbed him to death because he thought he didn't like the fact that the guy opened up the door. Well, that would certainly fit in with the random violence. But how do we figure out the motive from crazy people? And that's what I really couldn't figure out. And I think Charlie might have had a handle on that right before he was shot. So I went back to see if he talked about it earlier on. And I went through his transcript. He plenty of talk on gang violence, but I didn't see anything where he discussed it. And I think he was going to right before he was shot. So that's our loss. But no, I didn't lie. I did actually go back and check all his transcript. And I did not find anything where he was talking about trans and ganglands statistics like I thought. So I just wanted to mention that. I did follow up on that, and I unfortunately did not find anything. So hopefully, I don't know, someone can figure that out. But I was the way he sounded right before he was shot. It sounded like he was going to get to the bottom of it, but it's our tremendous loss, losing Charlie Kirk for a few reasons. But anyway, getting back on this. What else? Oh, our good friend Alec Baldwin. This guy, he's just, this is probably not even worth mentioning. I just brought her up because this guy's just disaster. It was raining for what it's worth, but he was in a Range Rover, and those things, they should easily be able to handle a little bit of rain. But on a street, and I think it was East Hamptons. It is in East Hamptons. Yeah, he was in the car with Steve and his brother. I guess there was some kind of I don't know, film convention, for lack of a better word, and he was there with this brother, and he was giving talks or participating in some way. And he was just driving down the street, and this tree just jumped out in front of him. Let me show you the tree. Yeah, see, that's what happened. His Range Rover, a single car accident. I guess the tree just jumped in the way, and bang, head first into it. And they mentioned that he's 40 years sober. And look, I am not one of those people that go around calling people liars when they're talking about sobriety. I think you should more or less take the people on their word. So I'll take him on his word that he's 40 years of sobriety. But I also do want to mention that I looked at his face recently, and those. Those faces, those alcoholic faces where they just are all puffy when you get older, and they look like the blood vessels, the nose, the face. He just looks like he's got an alcoholic face. So maybe it was the damage he did before 40 years. What is he now, like 70? Hold on, no, he's like 67. I think he's 67. So that means he stopped drinking at 27. Oh, maybe he drank very heavily in his 20s. But his face does not look good. Maybe I should have posted a picture. I don't want to spread rumors, but if he says he stopped drinking 40 years ago, who am I to throw stones? He must have done a lot of heavy drinking in his 20s, though. I'll tell you that, because his face looks really like your typical alcoholic face, all high blood pressure and everything. I will say this, though. If you go back in his younger days, he was a handsome guy. When he married Kim Basinger, he was a handsome guy. There's no doubt about it. But 67... Yeah, well, but yeah, Stephen was in the car with him, and he just smacked right into that tree. The tree's just, it's tricky. It's tricky. You got to give those trees wide berth, man. They just jump right out at you. It's terrible, terrible, terrible thing. All right, what else we got? Oh, there's the car again. All right, what do we got? This is beautiful, beautiful woman. This is one that has you scratching your head. I don't know. So here's the deal. She died in 2011. And I don't know why it's being brought up now, but it's one of those stories I just had to bring up because it's just so weird. By the way, a lot of this stuff I got from the New York Post. I usually give them credit. Not all of it. There's a couple of stories here I got from the New York Post, and probably most, if not all, the pictures I got from there. But anyway, just want to make sure I give the New York Post credit. A couple of these stories at least came from there. Anyway, this is an interesting one. Beautiful woman. She was found dead in 2011. She was very bruised and beaten up, and she had 20 stab wounds. And we're going to go into that a little detail a little bit later. But the coroner ruled it as a suicide, which was kind of strange with 20 stab wounds. And I guess the family wasn't really convinced. And she was riddled with bruises and 20 stab wounds, including her neck, her back, her head, her heart, and even left the knife in her, protruding from her chest. Very violent death, and a very beautiful woman. I mean, any death is sad. When you see a young woman like this, it's just. I think she was. Did it say she was? I think she was 27 or so. I read. I don't know, but she was very young. Um, Her boyfriend's never been considered a suspect, Goldberg. He did discover the body, though. Now, the coroner was Marlon Osborne. And originally, originally he said it was a homicide. But then later on, he changed it to a suicide. And I guess in 2023, it went before an appellate court because the family, I guess, wasn't happy. And they called the right here. They said that she was a teacher, that the suicide investigation was deeply flawed, but they upheld the suicide. Here's all the stab wounds that she would have had to have done to herself, which, well, let's put it this way. It would at least be a challenge for a person to do this to themselves, especially the last one, where after all this, she actually had the strength to stick it in her chest as one final stroke. So as you can see, this would be a challenge, I would think, to do this to yourself. Anyway, so then what happened is the coroner again later on flipped it back, saying it was something other than suicide, which is not particularly helpful. So anyway, what else we got here? So that was questioned. And then I guess they said they were going to review it again. So they're still discussing about whether this is possibly a suicide or not. And it's going back and forth. The family did actually settle a claim for an undisclosed amount of money. This is obviously not a suicide. I think they're only looking at it again just because of the lawsuit. But I mean, why this woman would ever be called that would ever be called a suicide, and why the boyfriend who discovered the body was never even considered to be a suspect, I don't know. I mean, this is obviously, here's what I'm thinking. If you can rule out suicide, and personally, I think you can, this is a murder of passion. This is not some guy doing a robbery. This is an angry individual. And obviously, it would have to be somebody who is very close to her. You don't usually get animosity like that for someone who you barely know, which would make me think, again, I think the boyfriend, but who knows? But the parents are getting the money in that civil suit, so I guess they're happy. All right, now here's another thing. Let's go talk about Christopher Columbus, because this is something that's been going around, and I don't know. So I think we all know the story that Christopher Columbus, he didn't actually get to America. There's a strong, depending on who you want to talk to about who really discovered it. Because he's an Irish monk, I like to go with Brendan the Navigator, but who knows? But anyway, getting off that. Christopher Columbus, pretty much, we know that he went to the Bahamas, and there's a lot of griping for people who actually, apart from the liberals that really don't know what they're protesting, they just like to protest and cause trouble. The ones that are educated and actually think things through, their beef is a letter that went from Columbus, and I'm going to paraphrase what he said in it. But essentially, he said the Bahamian natives are very friendly and they're helpful. They're glad to share whatever they have with us. And with 50 people, we can take them over and make them do whatever we want to do. So he came across as being a conqueror. And as a result, a lot of people say that He wasn't an explorer. He was a conqueror, and he came to take over and to enslave the people. And I understand why they would think that, but I think that's that's short-sighted. And the reason is, if you understand Christopher Columbus, he didn't get Spain to give him that ships easily. He was shopping around. He was begging on his hands and knees to get those ships to find. Trying to think, where did he was trying to find a shortcut to someplace, Asia. So I really forget it. Shame on me for not knowing. But he was originally looking for a shortcut to somewhere, and I want to say it's Asia, but I could be wrong. Anyway, it was by accident he found the Bahamas. But he was begging and pleading. He did not go to Spain first. He went to Spain last, of course, because why would he go anywhere else when he got the ships? But anyway, he got the ships, and he got to the Bahamas. Now, you do have to understand here that King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, they were conquerors. And the reason why they were conquerors, they wanted to bring Catholicism to the world one way or another. And, the Spanish conquistadors, the sword and the crucifix, accept Jesus as your savior or we kill you. A very bad bloodbath that was done in the name of Jesus, especially by Spain. So they were looking for conquest. Now, if you're Christopher Columbus and you have borrowed ships and you want to do more exploration and you want to get in their good graces, you're going to tell them what they want to hear. And it was Ferdinand and Isabella that were the conquerors. So if you're Columbus and they want to find lands to conquer to make them Christians, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to tell them what they want to hear. Hey, if they wanted to open up bowling alleys, you're going to say, hey, I got some great land here for 10-pin bowling. Because afterwards, and I got this down here, it says, and this is, by the way, AI helped me look this up. He wrote to persuade King Isabella and King Ferdinand to invest in him because he was finding profitable, conquerable territories. This is what they want. And his main goal was to secure funding by doing royal favors for his voyages. So Christopher Columbus didn't go out with a sword and put a crown on his head to conquer them. He was an explorer, and he was going to sell them whatever they want. I mean, that's just common sense. He's a salesman, and he wanted to sell his explorations. So they wanted to dominate lands, and wow, look at that. He found a land to dominate, and he said they can be easily controlled. He said they were docile and easily converted to Christianity, which is what they wanted to hear. So if he wrote that to them, I wouldn't read too much into that. I really wouldn't. Anyway, getting off that, I got one other thing I want to get to. So I think Christopher Columbus, I think he can get that letter and throw it out the window. I think that was all politics because he wanted to go again. All right. And now I'd like to, have a little religious a message or an informative snippet at least. And this one's kind of interesting. I was talking to my wife about the other day, and I think when people say the Apostles' Creed, I don't think they understand. I know as a little boy, I didn't understand it, but now, of course, I do. But in the Apostles' Creed, they say when Jesus died, he descended into hell for 3 days. They don't mention 3 days. I think they say in the Apostles' Creed, he just descended into hell. But anyway, why would you think that he would go into hell? Well, it's a little complicated. Actually, it's not that complicated. But before Jesus died, heaven was closed. It was only during his resurrection that heaven opened and people could get into heaven. It was the ultimate sacrifice that allowed heaven to be opened. So what happened with the people that died before Jesus opened up gates of heaven? Well, they went to a place called Sheol. And so Shol, and it was in a place called Hades, which people hear Hades, they think of hell, and to an extent that's kind of true. But Hades is the underworld, and there's different compartments. So Sheol was a place where souls, prior to the resurrection of Jesus Christ, our Savior, held the souls. And there was a couple of compartments of Sheol. There was Sheol for the souls awaiting to go to heaven, which was, a nice place. Nothing bad about it, but it was in Hades. And then you have the hell part of Sheol, the Hades part, which is for the wicked. So they were in hell, in Hades, I guess, Hades, we'll call it Hades, just to keep things simple. So in Hades, it was Hades, and then there was Sheol, and in there was like, the wicked in hell, kind of. And then you had the good part, which is for the souls waiting to go to heaven. So what happened is when they say he descended into hell, and I guess what they've done is they've changed it now for some reason. I think in the new Apostles' Creed, they say he descended to the dead, which I guess they're saying that maybe to, I don't know, make things a little clearer. But the thing is, Jesus descended into hell, Hades, to get the key to let the souls into heaven. They don't explain that in the Apostles' Creed. So you wonder, why would Jesus go to hell? I mean, why would he do that? Well, he went there to release the souls, the good souls, out of Sheol and bring them up into heaven. So that's pretty much why. It's not like he went to do penance. He actually went there to grab the keys away from Lucifer or wherever they were. I think what I heard is, I guess Lucifer supposedly had the keys, or however he had to control it. So he went down there and he took the keys and he opened it up and brought the good souls up to heaven. Now the bad souls that were in Hades and hell, they stay there. They never moved. They're there where they were in the beginning, and they're going to be there up until the end, until final judgment, and then they'll get pulled up and get their final judgment, in front of. I think Jesus is probably going to do the final judgment. I don't know, but anyway, that's why in the Apostles' Creed he descended into hell. He actually went to Sheol and get the righteous souls and brought them into heaven. So anyway, well, that's all I got for now. I hope that was pretty interesting, and hope all you guys have a great week. And I will talk to you later. This is Reverend Bill signing up. If you like this, signing off. If you like this, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you didn't like it, come back again. I'll try harder. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.